What's up, everybody? On today's episode of The Fight Life, we went out of the studio and down to Syndicate Mixed Martial Arts to sit down with Kawika Lagasca to talk about his blossoming Muay Thai career. In studio, we had Danielle Alfapada come in. She talked about her basically getting started in mixed martial arts. She's about to make her amateur MMA debut. And we also had Fight Life Media's own Erik Novy come in to talk about the finer points of the combat sports business in general, as well as some of the ways that he looks for people that he books into our show. So without further ado, let's go down to Syndicate Mixed Martial Arts and get with Kawika Lagasca. What's up, everybody? It's Flip from Fight Life Media. We are down here at Syndicate Mixed Martial Arts with Kavika Legosa.
How you doing?
It's been a while, man. How you been?
Everything's been good, man. Just been being really busy with training and work and, you know, typical life.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the Muay Thai, man. We haven't seen you in MMA for a little while, but every time I see you in Muay Thai, you're tearing it up, and it seems pretty focused on the Muay Thai aspect of things lately. Let's talk a little bit about what you got going on with that.
Oh, with the Muay Thai, it's kind of helping me with actually my all-around fight game. Helps me sit down on my punches, you know, mixing it up a little bit. Because with MMA, you can kind of, you know, abort, you know, from the stand-up position to taking a guy down, clinching, and, you know, wrestling and the grappling aspect of MMA. So with Muay Thai, it's really just solidifying my stand-up and helping me sit down more and made me open up and not be afraid of really opening up as far as striking.
Let's talk about the focus that's been on Muay Thai, though. I mean, we haven't seen you in MMA. Is there a reason for that, or is it really just more you want to expand on another part of the game?
I just really want to expand more on my game because actually if I'm able to go pro later on this year, at least I would like to keep the option to where I could do a couple of Muay Thai fights as far as a pro and also MMA. So at least I won't be trying to, you know, do Muay Thai with just no fights at all and just being a pro and then getting eaten up out there as Muay Thai fights. I just like to keep it experience in both aspects and kind of get experience on both sides of the mat.
Now, have you looked at it in terms of career development? You know, there's opportunities obviously now with Lion Fights being as big as it is. You obviously have a great Muay Thai coach. Do you look at it in those terms, like, you know, there's opportunities for me if I go in through MMA or if I go through an organization like Lion Fights or even with Nick's organization?
Oh, definitely. There's opportunities both ways. But obviously everyone knows that, you know, Muay Thai fighters don't get paid as much as now the MMA fighters. But opportunities everywhere. I mean, here at Syndicate Mixed Martial Arts, I mean, you can get in MMA, and there's a bunch of organizations that are hooked up through here. So with Chaz, Moki, and everybody helping me out, I mean, I could do anything I want as long as I just keep my mind focused and just keep training.
So let's talk about the training and how that's been. You've obviously, you were telling us earlier that you work multiple jobs, you're in school, you're training. How is it that you keep everything kind of put together and focused?
So honestly, I don't really know. It's kind of like a day-to-day basis. It's kind of like, hey, you know, I have to work this job, I have to sleep this time, this, you know, here and there. It's really up in the air, and trying to find a balance is still hard just because I'm, you know, fairly new at getting my second job. So it's just trying to find that balance, and hopefully everything works out.
So you do have a fight coming up. Let's talk a little bit about what that's been like, because you have been doing Muay Thai this year. What's it been like doing strictly Muay Thai?
It's kind of rough, especially right now doing amateur and little smokers here and there, because you're not guaranteed an opponent. So, I mean, the last fight I was supposed to do was a couple months ago, and I was doing my weight cut only until the day of the fight, and wasn't sure until that day where they're like, hey, you don't have an opponent, so you're not fighting. So that's kind of like a bummer, especially, you know, feeding and not eating and stuff like that. But it's not bad. It's, you know, I mean, things will, you just have to take it as it is.
Yeah, I know that I saw, I think it was maybe your Instagram or one of the other things, and you said, I'm next door, still waiting to find out who my opponent is, and you already made the cut.
Yeah.
You know, how frustrating does that get for you?
Oh, it's super frustrating. I mean, every fighter will know. I mean, everyone doesn't like to starve themselves. The weight cut's just part of the process. But I mean, it's just frustrating because you're getting ready to, to battle. You want to fight somebody, and it's not even just like you want to, hurt somebody. It's more of just competing, and going to the fights and actually seeing everyone else fight and competing, and you're there and you're supposed to. It's kind of like a bummer. It's just not even really just being really upset. It's just, it just sucks.
Now, let's talk about this upcoming fight. What do you know about your opponent, or is it still a similar situation where you're not too sure who it is and you're just going to kind of show up?
To be honest, I don't really even know this guy, but I can't really say I want to study this guy or look up any video or take any interest because it could change. It could change tomorrow. It could change the day of a couple times, or we can weigh in together and the next day we fight. It's actually not even him that I'm going to be fighting. So, I mean, we just saw it like last week where a guy was supposed to fight somebody and then he pulled out the day of the fight and he had to fight somebody out from the crowd, basically.
Yeah, Muay Thai is a little bit different that way. I went through the smokers actually myself also, and I think that was one of the more frustrating parts. I never didn't have an opponent, but I'd always end up with opponents that were either a little bit bigger, probably 1 or 2 weight classes up after I made the cut. Yeah. So I understand how that can get, man. But let's talk about where's your fight. Who are you fighting for?
I'm fighting for One Kick Nick's promotions. Master Nick, he's a great guy. Gives a lot of opportunity for the upcoming fighters. He's the one holding all these fights here in Vegas, so helping us out a lot as far as experience. It's going to be at the Cannery on Craig Road. It'll be Friday, May 9th.
Okay, so Friday, May 9th, up at the Northside Cannery. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to or, thank for helping you out through this camp?
I'd like to thank Syndicate Mixed Martial Arts, Chaz Mulkey, John Wood, all my training partners, Norm Turner, he's a great conditioning coach. Everyone here, everyone's just a good family. Everyone just pushes you and keeps me motivated.
All right. Well, we want to take some time to thank you for coming down to the gym. We know that your schedule's kind of hectic, and for spending a little bit of time with us and talking to us about what you have going on with Muay Thai, man. We wish you all the best in everything that you have going on with this career, and can't wait to see you back at MMA. Just before we do close out, when should we expect to see you back in mixed martial arts?
Oh man, I'm not really sure. Maybe, hopefully at the end of this year, and hopefully it'll be a pro debut instead of amateur. So,
all right. Awesome. Well, everybody, from Syndicate Mixed Martial Arts, Fight Life Flip, Kavika Lagasca, peace. What's up, everybody? It's Flip, and you are here at Fight Life Studios. In studio, we have Danielle Alfapada. She's going to be making her debut with King of the Cage here pretty soon on May 17th at the Eastside Cannery. How's it going today?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. So let's go ahead and jump right into this. And, you're making your debut not just, for King of the Cage, but as an amateur fighter.
Yes.
People have talked a lot about you from your camp, so that's how you wound up here across our door. Let's talk about your background and how you got started in all of this stuff.
Well, I've been in mixed martial arts, martial arts since I was like 4 or 5 years old. My uncles them all teach. I was in temple karate in Hawaii, and then I was in it till I was like about 10 years old, and then I stopped, just started playing sports, and then just recently got back into it.
So, what made you decide to get back into fighting?
Because I watch The Ultimate Fighter all the time, and this, the past season with all the chicks and stuff, they're pretty badass. So that's what made me want to, I was like, I could do that.
Cool. You're with Torres MMA Sport. Tell us what that's been like training with those guys.
I love it. It's like they're all my brothers. Like, I'm the only chick that trains there, so it's pretty intense. And Juan and JJ is hard on me, but that's what I need. Every single day, just drilling, getting hopefully my jiu-jitsu down.
So what's that been like for you as far as being the only girl in the gym? I mean, you say that they're a little hard on you, but let's just talk about what it's like training with the guys all the time.
It's like, I actually would like to train with a girl, to see how it would be. I trained with JJ's girlfriend one time, like we rode around, and it was just like awkward for me because I'm so used to like being hard on the guys and just grinding on them and just like not even holding back because they don't hold back on me. So I got to do the same thing. So when I was rolling around with her, it was just like, oh no, I didn't want to hurt her. But then, yeah, it was just kind of awkward. So I'm like ready to get into the cage and just real.
So, I mean, how is it that you think that's going to transition? Obviously, if you're used to, having to go all out with the guys that you're training with, when you go into the cage, you're obviously going to have to go all out. So how do you think that transition is going to be for you?
Well, it should, like, just training, being the only girl training with the guys, I think it's going to benefit me because they're, like, way stronger. Like, for sure, like, guys are stronger than girls. And so, and I'm not going to put anything past the girl, but I'm just saying, like, I'm used to guys' strength and stuff, and I can take, like, their hits and stuff, so I'm just excited. I'm excited.
All right, so you're debuting with King of the Cage. What do you know about your opponent? Who is your opponent?
Amanda Taylor is her name. I have no idea. She's debuting too. This is her first fight, fighting at 145.
So let's go back to when you first started in competition. When you were a lot younger. What was that like for you, getting started and doing the Kempo and Kaji Kempo?
It was fun. I would like be in tournaments, and I always took first place. So it was like I always had to be like the best. And yeah, every single like tournament I was in, I was first place. So it's kind of like I don't like to lose at all. I try to be the best at everything I do.
Okay. Now, as far as the anticipation of your upcoming fight, what is it that's been going through your mind? Do you think there's going to be any nerves that night?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, of course. But trying to just like keep it together and just stay focused. I know I'm going to be like, I'm already getting nervous right now, like thinking about it because it's coming really fast. But I'm just like, I'll never know until the day that night that I'm in the cage, when it's time to go.
All right. So you obviously come from more of a striking background. What is it that you've been doing to prepare for this fight as far as, getting yourself well-rounded and ready?
Well, we've been we've been sparring a lot with my hands and stuff, but trying to focus on like my jiu-jitsu and my wrestling because I definitely need work there. But so that's what I'm trying to, because most of the girls that I notice is a lot better with their jiu-jitsu. So I know I gotta step that game up with that. Now,
King of the Cage. That's why did you choose that promotion to debut with?
Because they came with a fight, and I was just like, I'm down.
Cool. All right, so let's talk about some of the people that have helped you out to get where you are. Is there anybody that you want to thank or anything right now?
Juan Torres, Steve Pellegrino, JJ, Cruz, basically all the guys from my gym too that all stuck it out with me and helping me and grinding and everybody. Wayne Lackno, my uncle. Torres MMA.
Let's talk a little bit about that. Wayne Lackno, being your uncle, what was that like growing up with somebody that was basically a throwback to the old school Kaji Kempo days?
Oh, it's intense because I had my uncle, Wayne, then I had my other uncle, Stacy, and then I had my other uncle, Joe Silva, like all of them. And so, like growing up with them, they're so much more stricter, and like I would have to be in class and like be a better role model and stuff than everybody else, so they're way more harder on me.
Now, how do you think that prepares you for the future in a sport like mixed martial arts? Because you obviously learn the discipline, and that's one of the harder things for a lot of fighters to have. You think that's something that's prepared you for this new career?
Yeah, it helped out a lot, definitely. Because just having that mindset, you have to have a certain mindset, like to fight, to like go to work and then go to practice every single day, knowing that I'm going to get freaking punched in the face or something like that, and like getting a high off of it, and like I need this in my life type shit. Oh, sorry.
It's fine.
Yeah, it like helped a lot because it doesn't like you can't come into the sport being like half-assing it, or being scared or like any of that. So, and know your opponent can and all the things that they can do to you.
Now let's talk about balancing like your everyday life and training. Obviously, that's something that there's sacrifices that have to be made sometimes. Sometimes you might not be able to go out as much or hang out with friends as much. How has that affected you moving into this new career in MMA?
Hasn't really affected me. Like my family, like my family is basically my life. Like I got my family, work, and then training. And then so everybody at the gym is basically, we're all family too over there. So it's pretty easy. And whenever we go out, it's like to fights and stuff like that. So, and I don't go out. I'm not like a party person. So it's all right. Like I love my life right now. It's pretty good. I go to work, go to the gym, come home, sleep, go to work, do the same thing again.
And so with that kind of grind, it's something that you actually enjoy.
Yeah.
Let's talk about you loved that competition when you were younger. Now you're a little bit older. Has that reignited that same passion in you?
Yeah, definitely. Because I'm like such a competitive person too. I've always been like sports and stuff, and I definitely did. So I got that drive, and I just want that W, man.
So what is it that fans can expect to see from you, on the 17th when you get in there to fight?
Going in and hopefully, well, I would like to just stand up and just knock the girl out, but we'll see what happens.
All right, everybody. This is Danielle Alfapada. Once again, she's going to be fighting at King of the Cage on the Eastside Cannery on May 17th. Make sure you get down there, check her out. But from Fight Life Flip and Danielle, this was Fight Life Media. Peace out. All right, everybody, it's been a little while since I did a flip side of things. It's basically a segment where we talk to you guys about the business of combat sports. And one of the things I want to talk about today is keeping appointments. Very, very important. A lot of people, I talk to managers, I talk to promoters, people who say, hey, these fighters are going to come down, they're going to make this appointment so we can talk about sponsorships, and then the fighter doesn't show up, or the fighter basically says, I'll be there in an hour or two. And it basically, you know what, guys, it diminishes your value and the way that people perceive you as a brand. If you want to be taken seriously in this industry, make all of your appointments, be there on time, and show up with a smile on your face. Don't show up with a couple of excuses about different things and how bad your days are going or how busy you are. When you show up and you're going to sit down with whether it's a potential sponsor or any sort of a business opportunity that you're going to have as an athlete, those people deserve your 100% full attention because they are going to be helping you to make money so that you can continue to do what it is that you love in combat sports. So always remember, show up on time, always show up with a smile on your face, and give them 100% of your attention. So just a real short segment this time, but we wanted to let you guys know that it is a growing issue. It's been a growing concern. I've been getting a lot of calls about it. So once again, you guys stay on point. Make sure that you're doing what you have to do to brand yourselves properly. And that is it for the segment of Flip Side of Things. What's up, everybody? We want to welcome you back down to Fight Life Studios. I'm Fight Life Flip, and here we have Erik. He is basically the guy that handles all of the booking for us. He gets the guests booked in. And we just wanted to kind of introduce him to you and also talk to him a little bit about why he came on board with Fight Life Media and his love for combat sports. So let's go ahead and jump right into this, man, and let's talk about what it is that drew you to come to the company and want to handle booking guests in for us.
What drew me to coming into Fight Life was that I love the sport of mixed martial arts. I love the sport of boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, combat sports in general. And I was already managing fighters and just being involved in the sport. I loved it. and I felt this was a great home for me, and I could help the team out. The team could help me, and we can all grow together.
Okay. So, you have booked in quite a few boxers, which we hadn't really worked with too many boxers before. So, it's been something that's been an interesting take and seeing the different aspects of the combat sports business. But what is it that you were hoping to accomplish overall with some of the guests that you book in and bring into the show?
Overall, what I hope to accomplish for us as a team is to move forward within other realms of combat sports, not just mixed martial arts. So as far as boxing, it's a new audience. It brings us different attention. And it also helps, the mixed martial arts scene as well. People that don't look at MMA that much can now see what we also do, because if you watch a Fight Life video, it could be a boxer that's on, it's a Muay Thai fighter, MMA fighter, all within the same show. So you get like a whole package.
Now, we did watch a boxing match last night. Let's talk about what your thoughts were on that, because I'm sure that a lot of people are going to be either in agreement or disagreement, but it's just something for us to talk about here on the Fight Life so that people can get an idea of, what your thoughts are when you watch a fight. So what we watched was Mayweather-Maidana. What were your thoughts on that?
My thoughts was that it should have either been a draw or Maidana should have won. Maidana was pushing Mayweather, having him backpedal most of the fight, was landing a lot of shots, was getting in on him. And Mayweather, he had a couple shots here and there. And that's how I looked at it. And I felt like Maidana did majority of the work and should have got that nod.
When I watch a fight like that, I can honestly say that I agreed with the draw. I think that I'm going to sit on the other side of it, though, and play devil's advocate a little bit. And the reason that I would is because, you have one fighter who has a lot of output, but he's not really hitting anything clearly. And you have another fighter with a lower level of output, but his percentages as far as it strikes, were significantly higher. So, I think that in that instance, the fight should have possibly gone Mayweather's way. Even a draw wouldn't have been bad for myself. But, what are your thoughts on that spread, though? Because some people might say, all right, Mayweather won, but a spread of 6 rounds on some of the judges' scorecards.
Yeah, I mean, the first half of the fight, Maidana really took it to him, and he won those 6 rounds straight up. The rest of the 6 rounds, it was like here and there. So it could have went either way. But if you look at it, if you dominated half of the fight, so what does leave the other fight? Mayweather didn't win the second half the way that Maidana won the first half. So, my equation wrong.
And those are compelling arguments. There's also the video that recently had surfaced even before the fight about where Mayweather's basically saying, you're going to wear the gloves I tell you to wear because it's my promotion.
Yeah.
These are some of the things that people talk about in boxing. He is the promoter. He does kind of get to call those shots, but at what point does a commission step in and say, these are the rules? What are your thoughts on that sort of situation?
I definitely think it's the commission who should overrule. I mean, yeah, you're the promoter, but the commission runs the show as well. And and as far as the gloves, yeah, the commission should run that. And I think it was Mayweather just running a mental game. Yeah, I'm not going to do the fight if you don't wear this glove or whatever. I mean, he was making almost $40 million on the fight. That's just the purse alone. Just mentally playing with him.
Now, you have come from a background of music, and, so you've seen, some of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes in there. Now you've been involved in mixed martial arts, and you've seen some of the stuff that goes on in the boxing game. What do you think are the two major differences on the business side of things when it comes to mixed martial arts and boxing?
The difference of the business level of boxing and mixed martial arts, I would say the difference of business is basically the money. To me, the way that it's handled. Boxing, the fighters, they get a lot more fights, make a lot more money. MMA, it's like a struggle. And I like to see MMA people get paid really good the same way. All of them, kickboxing too, and Muay Thai. I think everyone deserves a fair cut.
You know, now there's a huge difference in the business models. You know, a lot of people don't know this, but when you're looking at the model of boxing, what they do is they sell licenses out globally, and some of the fighters that get their own promotions know how this licensing works, and they sell those things out. And on the other side of it, when you have organizations like whether it's a UFC or a Bellator or anything like that, you know, they basically control their share and they only allow certain people to have it. So, you know, the promoters are the ones making the money. Or on the other side of it, right now what you have is you have boxers that are making the money and letting it trickle down to the other fighters. So, you know, but then you do have situations where you have a fighter slash promoter who's going to say, you do it the way that I want or I'm not going to fight. But then on the other side of it, you have a situation where you have, let's say of the UFC, for example, where John Jones is like, I don't want to give that guy a title shot, and the promoter says we're scrapping the whole event. You know, obviously there's a lot that can get changed within this industry. What are some of the steps you think that athletes can take to make some of those changes?
That's a tough question to answer. I mean, because right now the promoter has the stronghold in MMA, and I mean, unless you're going to become a promoter yourself, you know, it's really nothing you can really do right now in MMA. Yeah, in boxing, it's a little more loose. And that's the reason why there's the money is better. I would love to see MMA open its ranks to different promotions to fight each other, just the same way boxing does to fight each other. You know, I'd like to see more weight classes in MMA.
And when you say more weight classes, what are you looking at? Are you looking at every 10 pounds?
Similar to boxing. The way you have, I mean, you don't see weight cut struggles as much as you do in MMA, you know, because there's such a big gap.
You know, when I look at mixed martial arts, I do kind of look at it this way also. I think that when you look at some of the organizations, there's a recycling of the athletes constantly. A lot of these, you know, I think MMA is kind of still a little too young. It's still in its in that it's still not reached maturity yet, and a lot of that you see because there's only so many fighters out there. So, you know, I'd like to see more weight classes as well, but when I do look at what promotions have as far as the money they have to keep certain people on the roster, I really don't think that they have financially, I don't think they have it to be able to open up those extra weight classes. And of course, you know, they are taking the gamble right now with the women's MMA. Not necessarily a gamble; it's a sure thing. It's obviously, you know, a lot of attention is being paid to women's mixed martial arts. But instead of opening up more weight classes in the men's division, they're obviously opening up the weight classes in the women's division. You know, so somewhere along the line, I mean, you know, the sport is growing. It's just taking a little bit of time. And I think that is the major difference between boxing and MMA, is that boxing has been around for hundreds of years, and MMA is just blossoming right now.
True. MMA can follow a blueprint, you know. I mean, they've done it with the Fight Pass the same way as WWE has kind of their Fight Pass as well. There's no reason why you can't try to follow a certain trend and then try to create it as your own. That way everyone is equally happy within the sport.
Now, you know, what are some of the things that you think fighters should start doing, you know, when we talk about fighters getting onto a show like this, and marketing themselves a little bit? You know, what kind of tips do you have for the fighters out there on how to make themselves more recognizable as a brand, whether it's within boxing, mixed martial arts, kickboxing, or anything like that?
Stay active. Stay active on social media. Be good to your fans. Embrace your haters. Keep if you have Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, keep it all one name, like Fight Life Media. You can find us on Instagram as Fight Life Media, or if you go on Twitter or even on Facebook and other ventures, or even on YouTube, you can always find us. And that's a great way to for people to find you and and watch your videos or like your tweets or your posts. And it's a great way to stay relevant. Also, is to keep tweeting, keep posting, stay out there, let people know when your fight is, who you're fighting. You know, you don't have to necessarily be controversial. Just let people know you're still out there, and you're accessible.
Cool. Now, if anybody wants to be on the show, they obviously are going to get in touch with you. There are people that have my information. They get in touch with me when they want to be on. But whenever we're bringing new guests on, you're the guy that they have to go through. So why don't you do yourself a quick plug real quick so they know how to find you in case they ever want to be on either the podcast, the video show, or we can go down and get something in studio with them.
Cool. You can look me up on Twitter, Fight Life Erik, Erik. Also on Instagram, it's the same thing. On Facebook, I'm Erik Novy, Novy. And that's the best way to get a hold of me, or I get a hold of you.
All right, everybody. So we want to thank Erik for stopping in, talking a little bit about what he does for the company and his thoughts on just the industry of combat sports in general. So, you know, thank you for taking the time. And from Fight Life Media Studios, we're out. All right, everybody, we want to thank our guests for coming down, and we definitely want to thank you for watching, but definitely Kawika Lagasca, Danielle Alfapada, and Erik for all spending time with us. And as always, without you, there is no us, and you are Fight Life Media.